Greetings, math fans. All right, so this is day 3, and basically what we're doing today is we're graphing quadratics. Okay, and so as you can see by just the start of this with the note sheets, there is a note sheet first of all in the Google Drive that you're going to be able to fill out and kind of follow along. Okay, but there are several things you need to find. The couple things are a little more challenging, but not a big deal. Again, if you write some of these formulas down or you write steps down, when you see this on a quiz or test, you'll be good to go because you can use your purple sheet and you pretty much can figure out what you need to do. Okay? All right, so let's kind of start out here first. You see how you have an x squared and plus 8x plus 7. Well, remember, let me write on the top of this. Remember you have your ax squared plus bx plus c. So the number with in front of the x squared is your a, and the number in front of the x is your b, and the number all by itself is your c. Okay, and I need those values in order to do a couple different things here. And truly, the only ones I really need, math fans, I need a and b. Okay? All right, so let's look at y equals x squared plus 8x plus 7. And do you guys agree a is equal to 1, because what's in front of the x squared? 1. And b is equal to 8, because what's in front of the x? Just 8, and then c, of course, is 7. We don't really need c, but let's just write it out anyway. Okay? So here's the deal. I'm going to get, the start is, first of all, is our vertex. And the vertex is actually going to be, if you graph a parabola, the vertex is either going to be a low point or it's going to be a high point like this. One of those two. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But the vertex is either the lowest point or the highest point, and then it either goes up from there or down from there. Okay? So in order to find the x coordinate of the vertex, basically it's opposite of b over 2 times a. So that's negative. I like to refer to this as opposite of b. So opposite of b over 2 times a. Okay? So in other words, b is 8, so we're going to say that is negative 8 over 2 times 1. That gives us negative 8 over 2 is negative 4. That's the x coordinate of the vertex. So I know it's going to be something like negative 4 comma something. Okay? So what I'm going to do is, in order to find out the y value, you plug it into where you see an x. So you have y is equal to, and you're going to use your calculator to do this. All right, I've showed you a few times, but basically wherever you see an x, you're going to put a parenthesis. That's how you use your calculator for these problems. Wherever you see an x, you put a parenthesis. So in other words, y is equal to, I'm going to put a negative 4 in there, by the way, negative 4 squared plus 8 times negative 4 plus 7. So just like that, you're going to put that in the calculator with the parentheses where you see a negative. Okay, because if you don't, you're going to say negative 4 squared is negative 16, which is not. It's actually positive 16. Okay, so I multiply all those together, square, whatever, and again, coming out with your calculator, you're going to get negative 9. So my vertex is negative 4 comma negative 9. So let's write that in there. Negative 4, negative 9. Okay, that's the first important thing that you need to get. All right, so once again, opposite of b over 2a, and then you plug it into y equals, plug it into x to find out the y value, and then that's how you get negative 4, negative 9. Okay? Okay, the next thing is axis symmetry is super easy, super easy. It's x equals, because it's a line, x equals, and see this negative 4 here? That goes right there. So x equals negative 4. That's how easy it is. Okay? Don't write x equals negative 9, and don't write just negative 4. You have to have the x equals, otherwise it's wrong. Okay? So now you're going to say, well, does it open up or down? And see this value of a? This value of a is positive. So if a is positive, it opens up. If a is negative, it opens down. That's basically what it is. Okay? So a is positive here. That means it's going to open up. So think logically. If it's going to open up like this, what is that vertex? Is it a low point or a high point? Well, it's the low point. It's the minimum. So that's what you're going to write here, minimum. Okay, so we have 4 things kind of filled in already. Okay, the next thing is I'm going to figure out the X-intercept and the Y-intercept. Now, if you guys remember, this is from yesterday. Let's do the Y-intercept first. Y-intercept, basically what you do is you set x equal to 0. Okay, so let's do that. Y is equal to, do you guys agree? Well, let me write it out. X squared plus 8x plus 7. If x is 0, that goes away and that goes away, and we just have y equals 7. So my coordinate is 0, 7 for the y-intercept. Okay? It's pretty easy. The x-intercept is a little more challenging. What I'm going to do for the x-intercept is I'm going to set the equation equal to 0. Okay, because y is equal to 0. So let me put this down here. This is to find the x-intercept. I'm going to set y equal to 0. So we did these problems yesterday, I believe. So if I do that, I get x squared plus 8x plus 7 equals 0. And then you factor that. So it's going to be 7 and 1, plus 7 and plus 1. So you can do a factor box. I'm not going to do it now. I'm just kind of get through this. But x is x plus 7, x plus 1. So that's basically x equals -7 and x equals -1. Okay? So those coordinates, remember y is 0. So those coordinates are going to be -7, 0 and -1, 0. Okay? 2 more points. So we're going to make a little more room here. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a point on either side of the vertex. Okay? And so we already know the vertex is -4, -9. So I'm going to pick a point, one less than it and one more than it. Now, so one less is -5 and one more is -3. Now here's the deal, math fans. If one of those points happen to be an x-intercept or y-intercept and that doesn't give me additional points, you want to go the same distance away. So see how that's one less and one more? If you had to do -6 and -2, so that's the same distance away from the vertex. But you always need to plot this vertex first and then pick points on either side of it. Sometimes one away, sometimes 2 away. Usually no more than 2 away. Okay, so I'm going to take that -3 and I'm going to plug it into the original problem. So I get y is equal to, and it's going to be -3 squared plus 8 times -3 plus 7. Okay, and if I do that, I get -8. So my vertex is -3, -8. Now here's the deal, math fans. Because this thing is symmetrical, that -5 is also going to be -8 automatically. These are always the same as long as it's the same distance, on either side of that vertex. Then you have the same number. So it's -8, -8. So here are my 2 points: -5, -8, and -3, -8. Okay, so let's plot these points. The vertex is -4, -9. So -1, 2, 3, -4, -9. The x-intercepts are -7, 0. So -1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, -7, 0, and -1, 0. The y-intercept is 0, 7. So here. And then we plotted 2 additional points, -5, -8. So -1, 2, 3, 4, 5, -5, -8, and -3, -8. It's right here. So guys, that's a ton of points now. And you can see it's going to be a U shape. So watch. Okay, and you get your arrows there. So it's a U shape, and that's what it looks like. Okay, so it's not bad. And I'm going to do the same thing for every single problem, guys. All the same stuff. So if you get it down one time, you're good to go. Okay, so this is a pretty significant, these steps are pretty significant. Okay, so let's do the next one. Okay, so y equals negative, Let it reset here because I hit delete here. There you go. Okay. So y equals negative x squared minus 6x minus 5. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find the vertex. And remember, the x coordinate of the vertex is opposite of b over 2a. So you need to come up with a, b, and c. So a is negative 1, b is negative 6, and c is negative 5. These are the two that I really need right here, a and b. Okay, so opposite of b, which means positive 6 over 2 times negative 1. So that's 6 over negative 2, which is negative 3. So it's negative 3 comma something. So again, I'm going to use my calculator. Y is equal to negative, and wherever I see an x, I'm going to put a parenthesis, squared minus 6 times parenthesis minus 5. So I'm going to put a negative 3 here and a negative 3 here. And just again, put it in your calculator. Negative 3 squared is 9. That makes it negative 9. Negative 9 plus 18 is positive 9. 9 minus 5 is 4. So y is equal to 4. So that's my coordinates, my vertex, negative 3, 4. So let's write that in there. Negative 3, 4. Okay, axis symmetry, super easy. Super, super easy. Y equals negative 3. Okay, look at the value of a. It's going to go down, right? Because it's negative. So it opens down, which means if it opens down, look at the picture, that means it's a maximum. Okay, so maximum. And then X-Intercept, let's do the Y-Intercept first. The Y-Intercept is you set x equal to 0. So if I do that, that's easy. It's just the negative x squared cancels and the 6x, negative 6x cancels, and you just have negative 5. So y equals negative 5. Okay, so that is going to be my y-intercept, which is 0, negative 5. Okay, now to get the x-intercept, we are going to set y equal to 0. So basically, I'm going to set that equation equal to 0, which is negative x squared minus 6x minus 5 equals 0. So I'm going to divide everything by negative 1. And you get x squared plus 6x plus 5 equals 0. And you can do your factor box. That's cool. Okay, so you're going to get x, and then you're going to get x, because it's a 6, it's going to be x plus 5 and x plus 1, right? 5 times 1 is 5, 5 plus 1 is 6. So you can do your factor box, and you get x equals negative 5 and x equals negative 1. Okay, cool. So those are your x-intercepts, negative 5, 0, and negative 1, 0. Cool. All right, last thing is 2 more points. So remember I told you pick points on either side of the vertex. So I always write the vertex in here as negative 3 and 4, and then I'll pick a point less than it. And I see I don't want to pick negative 4, negative 2. Or sorry, I do want to pick negative 4, negative 2 because I don't have to worry if you look at the points here. You can't do negative 5, negative 1, but we don't have to worry about it. So if I do negative 4 and negative 2, and again, you're going to plug that in your calculator, directly in your calculator. So you're going to say negative parenthesis negative 2 squared minus 6 parenthesis negative 2 minus 5. Okay? And you put that all in your calculator, and that's basically going to give you a 3. So this one is 3. That means this one's 3. It's the same distance away from that 4 on either, or the negative 3 comma 4. So that's why it's, and it's symmetrical, so they're both 3. Okay? So let me write that in there. Negative 3, or negative 4 comma 3 and negative 2 comma 3. Cool. Okay, let's go ahead and plot these points. Remember, it's going to be a nice parabola shape, right? It's going to be a nice U shape. So negative 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. The x-intercepts are negative 5, 0. Negative 5, 0, and negative 1, 0. And the 2 more points is negative 4, comma 3. So negative 1, 2, 3, 4, comma 3. And negative 2, comma 3. Okay, and then we have one more. 0, negative 5 is my y-intercept. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that's a lot of points. And so we go ahead and graph it. It's going to look like this. Rough sketch. Okay, that's what the graph looks like. Not bad. All right, so we got two more. They're kind of similar, except it's got like maybe the B is missing or maybe the C is missing. So let's scroll down to that. Okay, it's number 3 on the next page, and again I'm going to say my A is equal to 4. My B is equal to negative 8. Remember, the B is in front of the x and the A is in front of the x squared, and there's no C, so C is 0. But again, no big deal. So we're going to again do the x coordinate of vertex, and it's opposite of B, so positive 8 over 2 times 4. 4. Okay? And that's going to give us 8 over 8, which is 1. So I know it's 1 comma, so I'm going to write this in. It's 1 comma something, and we plug it into the original problem. So y is equal to, again, use parentheses, 4 parentheses a 1 squared minus 8 parentheses a 1. Okay, so it's going to be 4 minus 8 is negative 4. So that's your coordinate. 1, negative 4. Okay, these are really easy once you get this. What's the extra symmetry? X equals 1. What does it open, up or down? Well, look at that. A is positive, right? So it's positive. So, of course, it's going to open up. And if the vertex is max or min, well, look. If it opens up, do you guys agree that vertex is a minimum? Cool. Okay, now we got to do our intercepts. So, again, I'm going to do y-intercept first. I'm going to set x equal to 0. And so it's basically, if I set x equal to 0, do you guys agree it's 4 times 0 squared minus 8 times 0. So y is 0. Okay, so my x-intercept is 0, or so the y-intercept was 0 comma 0. Okay, because I set x equals 0, I get y equals 0. So the y-intercept is 0, 0. And I'm asking for 2 more points. Oh, wait, sorry, x-intercept. What am I doing here? X-intercept, so it's 4x squared minus 8x equals 0. Now you guys need to know how to factor this, okay? It's an easy one. It's actually just a greatest common factor. So the greatest common factor is 4x. So you got 4x out of there, and then you divide that, you get x minus 2 equals 0. So x equals 0, and x equals 2. So here it is, 0, and then remember y is 0. And 2 comma 0, because y is always 0. Okay? And 2 additional points. So let's make a t-chart. Okay, again, my vertex is 1, negative 4. So I'm going to put that in the middle. That's kind of the middle guy. And then I'm going to pick a point less than it and greater than it. So I pick a point less than it, I get 0. And I'm like, oh, wait, I already have an intercept that's 0. So that's not a good one. How about if we go one more even further? So negative 1, because I'm not using negative 1 anyplace, right? I'm looking here, right? No negative 1, and then add 2 to that, so I get 3. So those are the numbers I'm plugging in. So it doesn't matter which one you plug in. So let's plug in the 3. So 4 times 3 squared minus 8 times 3. Okay, so if you multiply all that out and you subtract, you should get a 12. So y equals 12. So that means this is 12 and this is 12, right? It's the same thing. Okay, so negative 1 comma 12 and 3 comma 12. Cool. All right, that's it. That's all I asked for. So let's graph it. 1, negative 4. Okay, and then 0, 0 is my x-intercept. And 2, 0 is my x-intercept. And 2 more points. Let's see, negative 1, 12. So negative 1, that's kind of way up here. And 3 comma 12. So 1, 2, 3 comma 12. Okay, so this is kind of definitely a skinny one here, but it looks like this, roughly. Okay, it's not bad. Okay, let's do the last one here. Okay, the last one, number 4 here. Again, you're going to label what these numbers are. So the number in front of the x squared is -1, so a is equal to -1. There is no b, if you notice that. Remember it's ax squared plus bx plus c. There's no b. So b is actually equal to 0 and c is 4. Very important. Don't just automatically go, oh, b is 4. There is no x term. So b is 0. Okay? So the x coordinate of the vertex is opposite of b, which is 0 over 2 times -1, which is really 0. Anything 0 over anything. So if b is 0, the whole thing is 0. So this vertex, then when I plug the 0 back into there, y is equal to -0 squared plus 4. So y is equal to negative, of course, this is just 0. So you get 4. 0 plus 4 is 4. So my vertex is going to be 0, 4. Okay, x is symmetry. X equals 0. It opens down because it's negative. So it's negative x squared. So it's going to open down. And what is that the highest or max? Is it the maximum or minimum point? Well, because it's going down, think logically. Oh, it's going down, so it's the highest, so it's maximum point. Okay? All right, so let's do the intercepts. Let's do y-intercept first. Again, set x equal to 0. So we're going to get y is equal to -0 squared plus 4. Well, that's gone, and so y is just equal to 4. Okay, so it's going to be 0, 4. Okay, and the x-intercept, you're going to set y to 0. So this is x-intercept, set y equal to 0. So it's going to be -x squared plus 4. Okay, and well, we said set that equal, and we're going to set y equal to 0. So negative x squared plus 4 equals 0. Now there's a lot of ways to solve this one. You can do difference of 2 squares if you want, or you can move that x squared over. So here, let's just move it. We could factor it. I'm going to show you both ways. But I don't want, I could do this. I could subtract 4 from both sides. So you get -x squared equals -4. The easier thing to have done, it would have been add x squared to both sides. But now I'm just going to divide by -1. So x squared equals 4. Take the square root of both sides. Remember, x equals plus or minus 2. Don't forget the plus or minus. Okay? So when x equals 2, you put that in the equation. So it's going to be, when x is 2, you're going to say y is equal to negative parentheses 2 squared plus 4. Okay? So that 2 squared is 4, but that makes it negative, so y is equal to 0. And when x equals -2, y is equal to negative, and then you do -2 squared plus 4. So -2 squared is 4. That makes it -4 plus 4 is 0. That's the same thing. What? Okay? So it is 2, 0 and -2, 0. Cool. And the last thing is you got to find 2 additional points. Now notice the vertex is 0, 4, and I don't have a 1 here, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to make a T-chart over here. Okay, and so my T-chart is going to be, the vertex is 0, 4, so I'm going to pick -1 and 1. Because I haven't used that one yet, right? So again, putting it into the equation, it's wherever you see an x, you put a parenthesis. Don't put the squared in there, just put a parenthesis. So if I put a 1 in there, 1 squared, which is 1, and that makes it -1. -1 plus 4 is 3. And so if this is a 3 here, remember, these are the same. So this is a 3. So those are my additional points, negative 1, 3, and 1, 3. So negative 1, 3, and 1, 3. Okay. So let's plot these points. The vertex is 0, 4. The x-intercepts are 2, 0 and negative 2, 0. The y-intercept is 0, 4, which happens to be the vertex. And 2 more points are negative 1, 3 and 1, 3. Okay, so those are your points. And then go ahead and graph it. And that's it. Okay, so I try to show you one with like a trinomial. You had negative, positive, and I showed you one where number 3 was where c is equal to 0, but no big deal. And then, but just a different way of kind of going back. Well, I erased it already, but just a different way of factoring it. And then the last one was basically this one right here, where b is equal to 0, and how to solve that. Okay, those are the really three kinds of problems, maybe 4 if you're talking about negatives also opening up or down, but they're really not difficult. You have to practice them. So you basically have worksheet 3 and worksheet 4 just doing the same stuff to practice, and that should really get you ready. But take some good notes and use those notes to do well in this. All right, my friends, that's it. You have an outstanding day. Adios. Goodbye.